Another way around this warden dilemma is to gank prior to them even going back, and Jarvan 4 and Nunu are able to do this right after getting Ancient Golem. So usually these ganks won't get a kill. They'll often just take away the enemy summoners. So here I take the back entrance. They're not expecting a level 2 gank, with the intent to remove their summoners to make it easier for the lane bottom. So I get stunned like an idiot, but see, we force out her flash, which makes it easier for these two to kill her later. Now finally, we all know about river ganks. Another effective way to gank is to use the fact that your ally is pushed the lane to sneak into one of the lane brushes. So here, yeah, you can't see that, I don't think. Okay, wait until that's dead, and then I move into this brush. Often it will be unexpected as they don't ward it, unless they hawkshot or CV it. So we get the kill. The fourth way to gank, which I don't really count, but is indeed a way to gank, is simply dive in the enemy tower if you feel that the enemies are champions that couldn't possibly kill both or three of you, even with tower support. This often happens in any game when a lane is losing by a fair bit to a tanky offensive champion like Jax, and his lane partner and the jungler decides to gank that lane, so all three dive tower and make it out easily. So here Galio has a fair bit of lead on both bottom champs, and we both know that at best he'll be able to get one person but not both, as we'd have to make significant mistakes for that to occur. I haven't said much about gank in middle. While it's the same idea as top and bottom, in theory the mid laner can close off ganks by having two wards far out to cover both back entrances. So if I were purple, I could ward here, and I could ward there, and I'd effectively close off any ganks unless bottom failed to ward their river. So in this clip, once I get the wraiths, I'll find out my wraiths are gone, and since my smite's on cooldown, I'm not going to bother to go to gums, but rather I'm going to gank middle because there are no wards out and it's early on. So I'm going to be forced to blow a summoner because he's going to blow one too. So it's extremely hard to gank middle unless you either have red buff or a summoner advantage on him, because Rise had to go in fairly deep and then I had to counter his flash with my flash, or else the slow would have been gone by the time he got around the bend and I would have lost him. Mid ganks are often harder but are still worth trying if you have an allied laner such as Annie, who's a really good combo. So here I flash stun, and that gives her enough time to get her stun off and her combo off. If I had a laner like Sivir here, we wouldn't even be bothering this gank because I know that Rise would be able to flash out after my stun ended anyway. So if you have a strong laner mid, it's actually very possible to get someone from full HP to none. Warden. So this will be a shorter and I guess harder section to explain, as it's not entirely the jungler's job, so it heavily relies on your teammates to do this for you as well. But this is mostly controlling the river by use of wards. If the enemy jungler or support does not get an oracle, this can be extremely crippling, as when they attempt to gank, they'll be shown constantly long before they get to their destination. So here we have the basic blue side wards. So note that all these wards are basically in pairs. For instance, if I put a ward here, I won't be able to see this, but if I put a ward here and have either mid ward either this or this, the river side is fully covered. The reason for this second ward is if your middle is pushing more often than not, you can just simply ward that because mid creeps or minions will have vision of this area. So this is more of a defensive one, I suppose, if your lane's always being shoved in. And here, just sees this path, sees anyone entering this area. It's good for the middle person as well as the bottom lane, so they won't be able to go through this tri-brush if they can't get in this way. And this one, I've seen different variations. A lot of people either put it there, put it there. I think here, it just sees the exit, just sees that. Now, you don't actually have to see Dragon itself, you just have to know if they walk in there, and they're likely doing it. So, and that's for blue side wards. So here we have the purple side wards. It's almost the exact same deal because of the way the map's laid out. Almost a complete mirror image of the blue side wards. So here, this will cover this area. So this is if your mid pushes out. So if your mid pushes out, this area is secure obviously. So you can just always forward ward this. And the same deal with here. So it watches this entrance, sees slightly, you might not have that much reaction time if you see them coming from this way, but you can see them coming if they wait around in that brush. So it's important to note as well that these are mostly lane-in wards. Ideally, you want this lane to provide their own ward, so you don't have to worry about that. Middle only provide one ward, and bottom provides their own ward. So that's ideally. So you're gonna have to pick up the spare ward that's missing for mid, because that'd be too much of a waste for middle to spend 150 on wards when you have plenty of money to go around. And yeah, dragon's still covered as long as you know the sides, you're fine. So finally we have wards that are placed when towers start falling, lane phase starts ending, and you try to push in your advantage. So there's not much else to say here. This is for seeing if they're coming around the Baron. If you're doing Baron, usually you'll have one around here just in case they try to smite still from right here, or just throw AoEs down, kiting you. And there's some here to cover the buffs. You don't need all of these, but it's probably recommended you have a couple of these free spots or so. Like sometimes I put one here for when you're doing Baron as well. And likewise for doing Dragon, just see them out far away. If this tower is gone, it's really hard to go here through here. It takes too long. And that's about it. So here's some warding in action in real game. It's really hard to find really clips. So here we have an offensive ward there because that tower's down. I think Poppy's gonna try to gank him later. There you go, Poppy. He sees Poppy coming because of that ward. We know Dragon's about to spawn, so we've already set up one ward here. Okay, it's not going now, but set up one ward here, and we're gonna set up another one here to make sure it's really difficult for the enemy team to group up and get us a dragon, because we'll see them come in and obviously move to a side. So here we go, I warded that. We know dragon's coming because I timed it. It's 17:20, I believe. Okay, they have it warded, but we can see them and they can see us, so it's not a big deal. We see them. So we know Mumu's coming from behind, so we're going to pull it back, and Ori's right there. So all because we have two wards on each side. We know two are top, so it's really safe dragon. And thanks to some nice warding, we're able to pick up easy dragon. So in closing, I hope you've learned some basics of jungling here, as I tried to make this a more general and helpful guide for someone looking into playing this role. But past early game and some slight warding, the jungler plays mostly like everyone else later, but gets blamed more often than the carries. There are also plenty of other guys out there on jungling, so you could try those too, and I'm sure there's a wealth of support for knowing what smite, or that smite is essential, so I don't even bother mentioning smite in this video. So thanks for watching, thanks for supporting TSM, and I hope this helps you master one of the least thankful roles on the fields of justice.